Hey everybody, hope you're all doing good today. Just still driving back from Lake Hartwell. I've been working for Bridgeford Foods on the way back a little bit, and just lots of driving here this week. And hey, I just wanted to take a chance. I got a little bit of time. As everybody knows, I like to do the videos here in the truck a lot because, it just seems like I don't have time anywhere else to do them. It's like when I'm driving. So I hope you all don't mind the talks going on in the truck, because it's just sort of just a time management deal. But I got thinking about the last tournament, and I just, like I said, I'm really trying to do as much as I can to share information and teach with everybody. Myself and Johnny Schultz at Fish the Moment both, that's sort of what we're doing now. And one of the things that came up to me that I wanted to talk about here that I thought was a good lesson I learned from this tournament that could help everybody out is how not to get spun out in a tournament, or if you're just fishing and having a slow day. Because what we're talking about getting spun out is like when you're out fishing and say the day before you've had a good day practice or whatever like that, and you're really confident, everything's going good, and then you get out the morning of the tournament or the day that you're fishing and nothing's working. It's just like, you fish through all your best stuff, and for whatever reason you can't figure it out, and you try different stuff and nothing's working. And so say at 12 o'clock you don't have a fish, and a lot of times people get spun out at this point. And what we mean by that is just like they get confused about what to do, they start fishing really fast, they lose their focus, and they lose confidence in what they're doing and their ability to catch fish. And there's some things that I want to share with y'all to help you to avoid that pitfall. And I can sort of use the Hartwell tournament for myself as an example this past week, because it seems like every tournament, you have to deal with that to some extent, because very seldom in a tournament or fishing does everything just go as planned and perfect, where the fish are just biting all day long. So the first thing you have to remember is it's all a matter of perception. It's all a matter of how you choose to look at a situation. And fishing is very similar to life in the sense that nobody tells you how to feel about something. Nobody tells you how you should react to something. It's a choice that you have. And it's a choice that you can basically choose to look at a situation positively or negatively, or get anxious about it or intimidated or get confident. And the first thing you have to do is, when you're talking about getting spun out and you're starting to feel that, is you have to realize that fish change throughout the day. Techniques have to change. Fish are just not always in the same position. And sorry about the truck, it's a little bumpy here. And so you have to realize that you have to be adaptable during the course of the day. And if that's not working, that's usually what undermines your confidence and gets you spun out. So here's usually what happens. It's like, okay, say you're going through your day and it's not working out, and you start to get that, and everybody knows what I'm talking about. If you fish much, you start to get that tension that builds up, that tightening in your midsection, and you lose focus a little bit, and you start to get anxious, and it just doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good when you're not catching fish, and you start thinking about, man, what if I don't catch them? I'm going to fall behind in the points. I'm not going to make any money in this tournament. You start having all this negativity creep into your mind from the potential of not doing well in the tournament. Biggest advice I want to give you right off the bat is be aware when you start to feel that, because it's very obvious when that happens. And when you first start feeling that, and you first start tensing up and getting that feeling, just take a few minutes, sit down on the boat, take a deep breath, and just relax a little bit. Just slow your pace down a little bit. Just take some time to retie your baits, think about the situation, get a drink, have a snack, whatever. Just take a short minute or two break. It's not going to kill you during the course of the day. And what this does, it begins to give you a reset for the day. So at that point, usually when I'm sitting there, for just a few seconds or minute or whatever, and I'm thinking about it, I'm going through my mind, okay, what are the other options that I have here? And I'll use yesterday at Lake Hartwell, for example, what happened to me. Like I said, the first day of the tournament, I had a small limit. I knew I needed to make a comeback. And I anticipated the fishing to be really good on day 2. I thought the fish were going to bite real good because it was sort of cloudy, misty rain. It was perfect weather conditions for fishing. And I get out there and nothing's working. It's like at 1 o'clock, I've got one little bitty 13-incher in my live well, and I've got to weigh in at 4 o'clock. So I actually have about 2.5 hours left to fish before I got to run back to weigh in. So I start to feel it, like everybody does. 1 o'clock, I've got the fish, and I just sat down in the boat a little bit. I just, got a drink of water. I sort of organized my rods a little bit. And I just thought, okay, I've got to make an adjustment. I've got to make a change in what I'm doing. And in my situation, I was fishing a walking bait. I was fishing, like a Megabass Giant Dog X. I was fishing a Super Spook some, big top waters. And I got looking around me, and it's like boats were everywhere. It's like every point on the lake you looked at, there was a boat fishing it. They'd crank up and leave, and within 5 minutes later, another boat would set down on the same point. So I got thinking, it's like, these fish are just really, really pressured and spooky right now. They've gotten hammered on for a week. Everybody's running the same water. Okay, what do I need to do? So I thought about it, and it's like, okay, I've got to downsize. There's no way that I'm going to power fish my way into taking the next 2.5 hours I have and bailing myself out. So I got in my box and I dug out a little Megabass Dog X, which is it's about as big as your pinky finger. It's a little bitty, tiny walking topwater. And I tied that on, and like the second cast I made with it, I caught a nice one. And I started running the same water that I had been fishing and not getting any bites, and I started catching them on the Dog X. And I wound up, within the next hour and a half, I caught a decent limit of fish, 9.5 pounds on the Dog X. And you'll get to see it if I filmed this tournament for Fish the Moment. So as soon as Johnny and I get the show put together, you'll get to see exactly what I'm talking about, catching them on this Dog X. But made that adjustment, wound up bailing the day out. And that is what you need to do. It's like if you're having a tough day and you're starting to get spun out, like I said, take that break, and you have to tell yourself, the fish are always biting. It's just like, just because you're not catching them doesn't mean they're not biting. So what you have to do is you have to make a consideration of 2 different elements. Do you want to change the area that you're fishing, or do you want to change the technique that you're using? Bait selection, stuff like that. And sometimes it's a combination of the 2. Sometimes it's a bait change and it's an area change, both. But basically what you have to do is you have got to make the determination that you have to adjust. Because what happens is there's a mental transformation that takes place anytime you make an adjustment. And you know what I'm talking about. Anytime that you're out fishing and you put on a new lure or you've made an area change, there's always there's an immediate sense of like nervous anticipation anytime you change up during the course of a day's fishing. And that nervous anticipation is what you want. That's something that you want to feel, because what that does is that removes you from that frustration and the anxiety of getting spun out. So every time that you make that change, there's a glimmer of hope. And so whether that works out or not remains to be seen, because a lot of it, it's, bass fishing is all about decisions. And if you make the right decisions, you wind up doing well. And if you don't make the right decisions, you have a bad day on the water. So there's no guarantees to that. But what it does, by making by being adaptive, or by adapting to the changes in the day, by being free enough to make those changes, that keeps you from getting spun out. And it's a matter of just like making enough changes. Because if you make a change, for example, and you do it for like 10 minutes, you'll know real quick if it feels right. If it feels like at any time you could get a bite, then stay with it a little bit longer. But if you're out there fishing and you feel like you're just casting, and that you don't feel like you're going to get a bite every single cast, make another adjustment. And there's no limits on adjustments. There's no limits on the baits you can try. There's no limits on, the areas that you can fish in the day. But you can't let fear overtake you in a tournament day. You got to make those changes on the water and when you feel it. And one of the things that I'll talk about in some future videos, because to me it's a big part of it, is you have to learn to trust your intuition and how your body feels, because your body is always telling you something. And you pay attention particularly to like your solar plex region, because when you're catching them and you're doing good, there's a freedom and there's a looseness and there's a relaxation that comes with that. And if you're not catching them, there's a tension and there's a stress and an anxiety that comes from that solar plex level. So you got to pay close attention to that, and anytime that it's moving in the wrong direction, that's when you have to make a change in what you're doing from one course to the other. But anyway, that's a topic for a lot of other future videos. Like I said, we got all this on film that I'm talking about. Probably, I'm saying within the next couple of weeks we'll have it out on Fish the Moment. You can check it out. But anyway, had a few minutes while I'm driving here. Just wanted to share that with you. Hope it helps out. It's something we all have to deal with in fishing. Everybody out there deals with it. So if it happens to you, don't feel like you're alone, because it happens to every professional in the country, every amateur fisherman, whatever. But anyway, I hope you guys are having a good day. Thanks again for subscribing to the channel. Thanks again for following. Just really appreciate it. I'm really enjoying, putting this content out, and we'll keep it coming. See ya.